Welcome, Chas. Let's start our podcast with your story. When I meet founders of the beauty brands, and you have in the beauty industry for a while, you've been working for the multinational companies. How did you come up with personalized skincare? How did you come up with the idea of having this company?
For sure. Yeah, I've been in skincare for about over a decade now. And as you said, spent some time in some of the very large, esteemed brands. And I got into skincare because as a child, I struggled with skin. I felt how personally it affected how I felt about myself. And then what I saw as I was in the industry is that it really hadn't evolved in terms of how we think about us as individuals. So I'm Black and white, multi-ethnic. And then as I saw my daughter starting to struggle with some of the same things with acne and in her skin, I knew there was a better way and I didn't want her to go through the same struggles that I had. And so I really wanted to understand how we could use science and technology to understand the individual nuances of our skin to be able to deliver better treatments. And I met my co-founder, Dr. Troels Marstrand, who had been working in dermatology pharmaceuticals and had been working on how to use advanced imaging and different AI models to actually deliver precision dermatology. And we decided that we wanted our kids to grow up in a world that delivered better care, better self-care, and starting with skincare. And that's really what gave rise to Revia.
Yeah, like when I first hear about personalized skincare a few years ago, uh, you launched, how many years ago did you launch?
So we opened our store in San Francisco about a year and a half ago. We started working on the company and the hardcore technology about 3 years ago. So it's definitely been a labor of love to deliver the technology and the science that was required to truly make precision skincare a reality.
And you've advanced since then, since the launch, right? I remember that
Yeah,
there was only I wanted really to try it, but there was only possibility to go to the San Francisco,
right.
and now it's possible to do it in all over the United States, right? This
Absolutely. Absolutely. So yeah, the way that we work, and we'll talk a little bit more, I'm sure, about what the technology actually is, but we needed to start to change what skincare is. We need to change the understanding that skincare has about you and your individual skin. And so for too long, skincare has been around four skin types, very generic labels around it's men's skincare or it's for, Black skin. But the diversity that we have goes well beyond me being male, me being Black, you being female, etc. It goes all the way down to our biology. And that's really what drives our skin. And so the whole concept behind precision skincare is measuring your individual skin biology, and then connecting that to the ingredients and the concentration levels that are best for you,
yeah.
and then actually allowing that to adapt over time.
Yes, exactly. Now let's talk, and this is the main goal of this podcast. Let's talk about the science behind it.
Yep.
From the very beginning, when I heard about the personalized skincare, it sounds for me it's like, oh, it's too complicated. I guess like seems like a very complicated, difficult process and things like that. But when I went to your website, you said that it's only three simple steps. So let's go through these steps.
Absolutely.
Steps are measure, analyze, and formulate, right? So let's speak about measuring. How do you measure? Try to explain us a little bit the science. How does it work exactly, so that I
For sure.
understand?
And if you'll permit me, allow me to give that high level very quickly. I think you're absolutely right. It is the science behind what we do is very complex. We actually use NASA technology in our imaging. We have multiple PhDs in things like bioinformatics and skin physiology. So it is really complex technology that's cutting edge. But for the consumer, it's been made very simple, and that was really important to us. And that's why we work so hard, to your earlier question, to move it from what was an in-person brick and mortar to actually bring that technology to your phone. Because what we really want to do is democratize that cutting edge dermatology and give everyone the tools to be able to understand their skin. So from a consumer standpoint, it starts, as you said, it's dermatology grade measurement and diagnostics. And we brought those to the mobile phone. And so what we're actually doing is measuring the 6 layers of skin and actually understanding your individual skin need, your individual skin physiology to get to the root cause. And that can be, if we take an easy example, I might have redness in my cheeks or in my nose. And that redness could be things from pigmentation, it could be maybe an allergy, or it could be early sets of inflammation. And understanding what actually is going on under the surface is really important, because then we can connect the actual ingredients that solve that particular root cause to give you better treatments. And that's really what we do behind our measurement. So we're measuring about 40 different parameters, over 1 million different data points. And we take all of that information to then create your individual skin profile that we then move into the next step around analysis and then into formulation.
Speaking about 6 layers of skin, how do you measure the 6 layer of skins? How do you see it? Because it's done
Yeah.
everything from the mobile phone, right?
It is, and that's a great question. And so that's why we've actually had 3 years in R&D, and we had our in-person studio. So in San Francisco, we have, $500,000, $1 million worth of diagnostic equipment. And that's using some of the things like hyperspectral imaging, which is actually the NASA technology that allows you to see through surfaces in kind of a layer by layer analysis. And so we use light, but we use diagnostic imaging within light. And it's a well-known field called spectroscopy. You can kind of think of it like an MRI or a CAT scan that you might have. It uses different technology, but it's able to actually see through the layers of skin to understand things like your collagen or your lipid profile and your skin barrier. And we use that to measure everything from those to hydration, to oxygen saturation, to blood flow, et cetera. And what we've done in that process is we've actually connected what we can see from that hyperspectral cube, which allows us to understand that biology. And now we can infer that and gather that from the data and the scanning that we can do in a normal mobile phone, kind of smartphone technology. That was about a year of, or about 3 years of data collection and hardcore AI to allow us to actually do that.
For the long time, I thought that there's only possible, these kind of things only possible in person. But then now I'm thinking like, if you go in person, they're still using all kind of devices like a cameras and stuff like that, right?
Yeah.
And it's a sort of also a screen like a telephone. So why not?
And it's similar to so hyperspectral imaging is things that it's light that we see, and then it's light that we don't see, like ultraviolet and near infrared. And so the same way that like self-driving cars are able to see in the dark, so to speak, they use different wavelengths of light that are able to give them more information about their environment. We're using the same type of technology, and we've done that within the smartphone to be able to use light in different ways to actually see through skin and get information back from skin and skin biology. And that's possible because we built all of that data over 3 years with tens of thousands of consumers around skin biology in our San Francisco lab.
Wow, it's so interesting. Thank you so much. This is exactly what I was looking for. Like light what you see and light you don't see.
Yeah.
These kind of things.
Yeah.
It's very important for me to understand, so I understand how everything is working. Now let's move to analyzing, right? You have 6 core parameters across 40
Right.
skin's characteristics.
Yeah, so you can kind of think about those, they pair up to the 6 layers of skin. So you're going to have your surface texture, and that's going to be things around the evenness, the smoothness of skin that can be affected by sizes of pores, that can be affected by just the topography of skin, the how intact the skin barrier is, the amount of oil being produced, all of those types of things. And then you start to move down to levels like hydration, that also has implications for skin barrier and lipid profile, as well as the surface water, kind of the amount of water within the skin surface. And then you keep going through those layers and you get to things like energy supply or skin melu that maybe people haven't heard too much about, but you can think about energy supply as kind of our skin's batteries. It's what gives our skin the ability to rejuvenate and to replenish. And that's going to be things that are on the positive side that charge that up, like our oxygen saturation. And then it's going to have things that detract from that, like the amount of UV damage that our skin is sustained or is continuing to sustain, which then cancels out our skin's ability to actually be able to replenish and to rejuvenate. And this is when the industry talks about anti-aging. That's such a broad term, but really what anti-aging is your skin's ability to replenish, to rejuvenate, the cell's ability to grow and create new cells. And there's ways biologically that you actually stimulate that. And so those are the things that we're measuring that gives us this very full picture of skin and skin health, because for each individual, that's going to be different. And then we actually do the next step, which is how do we connect those individual profiles based on maybe my need is around energy supply and I have a compromised skin barrier. And maybe though you have incredible skin, maybe you have something that is in inflammation and in hydration, for example. And so now we start to get to those in the root cause and then be able to create that formulation specifically for you.
Amazing. Now, about formulations. Let's talk about formulations. Tell me a little bit about ingredients, what is special about it, and are these all, or you adding others? If you adding others, are there some chemicals in between them, like how natural, how good they are?
For
Tell me
sure.
more about your formulations. What is your key kind of principles when you work on
Yeah.
formulations?
For sure. So let's definitely start with the principles and then we can get into the details. So we actually can make over 3,000 individual formulas. So we are truly making them to demand and to measure. So this isn't about, you take a quiz and we pick one of 4 SKUs off the shelf.
Yeah.
We truly are tailoring this to your individual skin physiology. And we do that by using a portfolio of curated actives. So we use around 30 different actives, and each of those has been selected for its evidence and being clinically and scientifically proven, and then selected then for a specific what's called mode of action or mechanism of action, meaning it is known and has been proven to work against a particular concern area. So that might be dark spots, that might be minimization of pores, that might be rebuilding of the collagen and elastin matrix, et cetera. And so each of these was selected for their ability to work on specific biological targets. And that gives us now the ability to understand you at an individual level and then select the ingredients and their combination and then the concentration levels that match precisely to your individual skin needs today. And then because we know skin is dynamic, it's changing. As you change, we change with you. And so as you would continue to measure, we understand how your skin is reacting to those ingredients, how it's reacting to the environment, how it's changing through hormonal cycles, et cetera. And that allows us to now formulate even smarter for you in the future. So that's how we kind of do it in a principle level. All of our ingredients are EU approved. And so again, very science-backed, very clean ingredients. They've all been selected by our kind of team of scientists. Where we have a very, very deep bench of skin biologists and formulation chemists that have, over about 75 to 100 years in the industry collectively. And all of those were, again, selected for their kind of clinical proof. The way that we then think about the actual formulation process is once your measurements come in, we send those to our formulation lab. So we own our own supply chain. So everything is made in the San Francisco Bay Area. We own our formulation lab and we own our own manufacturing. And then once that formulation would come in, if you were ordering your products, that pushes to our formulation lab. They get your actual individual kind of formulation recipe. And then each one of those serums is made to measure and then shipped out to you in about 2 days. In terms of the ingredients, you named a few that were in there. Vitamin C obviously is a big workhorse in terms of all the properties that it has on an antioxidant and some of the abilities to obviously rejuvenate and help in skin resurfacing, et cetera. And then some of the other things like bucachiol, that is actually a retinol alternative. We like bucachiol a lot for its properties. It has many of the same benefits as retinol. But as we all know, retinol can be aggressive and hard for some consumers and have adverse reactions. And bucachiol doesn't have some of those same effects. So it gives you many of the same benefits that a retinol does, but has far fewer downsides for many consumers, which allows us to be able to formulate in many more kind of efficacious, effective ways for consumers.
Yes, exactly. And yeah, amazing. Yeah, this retinol substitution I haven't heard about this ingredient, so it's very
Yeah,
interesting.
it's actually a really interesting one.
So these are like heroes ingredients, right? What I've seen on the website.
We just actually launched our ingredient library. So now all of the ingredients and the actives that we use are there and, their chemical
Oh,
structure, where they come from. And again, there's about 30 different actives that we use, but they are all then combined specifically for you and your skin physiology.
speaking about that also, sustainability. Sustainability is like so important points right now. I feel like the brand does not have a future if it does not have a sustainability practice or some sort of strategy, right?
Yeah.
What is your thought on sustainability?
Yeah, I mean, we definitely want to create better products for everyone, and that starts with them, right? But we also want to create a more sustainable future for skincare. It's not a secret that skincare and beauty overall has been pretty rough on the planet in terms of, the practices and the type of ingredients and manufacturing and waste. So there's a couple different ways that we think about it. Sustainability is definitely important to us. First off, all of our packaging is refillable. And so it's intended to have kind of forever outside cartridges that you drop in the new refills. And so as you would measure and your formulations change, we don't ship the same, big packages and all the outside kind of plastic and bottles. We're only shipping the inside cartridge that you can just drop in. So we're minimizing the amount of waste and footprint that goes with that. And then I think precision skincare overall just has a better footprint. So if we look at how the industry today produces products, they're run in very long runs at very high volumes to create kind of the one formulation that everyone would buy. And a lot of that goes to inventory. And about 10 to 15% of all skincare and beauty products produced today expire, and they actually are then sent directly to landfill because most of them are not recyclable. And so 10 to 15% of all products produced are ending up immediately as waste in the system. We produce exactly to demand, so we don't have any waste like that. We are only making a product when someone has ordered it into their specific needs, which then creates a much more sustainable manufacturing practice. The final thing that comes in is because we're making products that actually work for you and are tailored to your biology, we can reduce that practice of trial and error. We all know what this looks like in the industry. We're buying lots of products. We're trying to see how they work for our skin. We have, maybe 10, 11 different products that we're trying to piece together to get the results that we want. We can actually now reduce that and give you a much more efficacious routine and regimen tailored for you without all of that, overconsumption and waste that exists, to not only be better on the manufacturing side and the fulfillment side, but actually simplifying it for you as a consumer too.
Yes, exactly. And this is also touching the another point, which I say that when the first I heard about personalized skincare, I thought it's too complicated to understand and it's too expensive. And then when I start thinking, it's not that expensive, right? It's just a little bit maybe more than a mass product. But when you start thinking about how much skincare I have tried, I bought just to find out many of it that it maybe doesn't really do much for me,
Yeah,
but it
yeah.
smells good and has a beautiful bottle and things like that. And, and and then when I just learned that my skin has enough moisture but not enough collagen, for example, and I was
Yeah,
thinking, like, God, I spent so much money on all these moisturizers. And
exactly.
so in this case, like when you make a calculations, how much money you spend for the skincare which doesn't work for you, because like it's, to really understand all these ingredients and all these formulations in each different skincare, you need to be like a specialist, or you need to spend a lot of time to read
Absolutely.
about each ingredient, and it just like very time consuming, it's complicated. And so that now my view on the skincare is changing. Now finally I understand that it's not just better for your skin, but it's also, you can also save money and you
Yeah,
save environment actually
yeah,
with the personalized skincare, right?
yeah. You're absolutely right. And I think a lot of it in that I'll talk about our price point, then I'll talk about kind of your process that you were describing. We wanted to make dermatology and cutting edge skincare science accessible, right? So there's definitely a lot of science and technology behind what we do, but our custom treatment serums that are formulated specifically for you and based on your individual biology, they're basically about $75 a piece. So if you think about that, it is a fully customized precision skincare serum
Very
for the,
affordable.
for the price of what you would buy
Yeah,
one off the shelf in many of the leading stores and retailers.
maybe even
So
cheaper.
we
Maybe
Mhm.
even cheaper.
Yeah, exactly, right. And so that was really important for us. We know it's not it's not, it still is a prestige experience for sure. But what we know is that consumers really value products that work for them. And as you said, not only are we trying to make that first price point accessible, where people can look and say, wait, for the price that I pay for something that is just generic, I can get something that's tailored exactly to me that actually evolves with me, right? And changes with me. That was really important. And then, as you said, we can actually then reduce that complication, because your skin might be needing moisture and have a skin barrier issue right now because it's a harsh winter and it's been, moving between different climates, and you have an issue that needs to be resolved. But once that's resolved, it needs something different. And so now you're on the hunt and the look again for the next product that might work for you. Whereas we can now make that where we actually just measure again and we update your formulas. And so it really, really simplifies your ability to do that, and makes that easier for you. And then I think the final thing in there, as you mentioned, people do have to be an expert, right? There's over 50,000 skincare ingredients and there's over 10,000 skincare products. That's not something that most people can be experts on, but it is something that AI and machine learning and technology is really good at. And so that's what we've been working on for so many years in the R&D side, is actually taking all of that information, the chemistry of all of those ingredients, the biology of all of our skin, and then combining those two so that we as individuals don't have to do that really hard work of how does this work for me, or like how is this vitamin C different than that vitamin C, or how is this like it's just such a hard process. We
Yeah.
allow technology to do that so we can enjoy all the other things that we like to enjoy, and not necessarily go get our PhD in chemistry and biology to just be skincare consumers.
Absolutely great point. I think we should make our decisions on the things like health and
Yeah,
skincare smart. I think
absolutely.
rather smart than just sort of follow sometimes trends, influencers, and whatever noise is out there, right? I feel like anything which is about my health and about my well-being, the decision need to be made with smart. Using technology and AI, that is the best shortcut. Actually, I think that
Yeah,
we're speaking about biohacking. It's a
yeah,
shortcut. You don't have to spend, as you say, so much time to get into it, and
yep,
just
yep.
trust the technology to do it for you. So, like, sounds amazing. How many products do you get when you are? Because, like, I'm going to United States right now, and I'm going to order one
Absolutely.
myself. I cannot wait. I also want to order one for my partner.
We'll
Uh,
make that happen.
Yes, and I'm so excited. How many products you have? How long does it take? And do you keep also in mind sometimes like the weather, like summer, winter, and a little bit of like external factors as well? Is it like 3 months or something like that, right?
Yeah.
3 months?
All right, let me unpack those. There's a lot of questions in there. So in the product, there's three products that we sell. We have an AM serum, a PM serum, and a moisturizer. The two serums are the precision serums, and those are the ones that are custom made based on your individual biology. And those are where we have over 3,000 formulations. So what you receive, what I receive, and what we both receive in probably 3 months will be different based on where our skin is. So you can get those individually, you can get those as a regimen, different ways that you can buy based on, what you need. The other thing that comes with that, as we now measure and understand your skin, we have our own kind of skin experts. So our formulation chemists, our skin biologists that you have access to. And so now we understand your individual skin on these 40 parameters. And we have a lot of our consumers who come in and set up a half an hour consult to understand how they should think about their cleanser, or maybe what they're doing for sunscreen, or different aspects of their regimen where people have a lot of questions, but no one's been able to answer that previously because no one understood their individual skin. So it's really around that kind of education, your partner in skincare overall, outside of just the products that we sell. So once you would make your order, it would go to our manufacturing and formulation lab in the Bay Area. Those products are usually made to order within about 2 days, and so most consumers are receiving, their product within somewhere between 4 to 7 days after making the order. Today we only run in the US. We will, fingers crossed, be expanding from that pretty soon, but today it's only US. Um, And then in terms of how long the products last, most of our serums are 30 ml and our moisturizers are 50 ml. They typically last our consumers around 90 days, so around 3 months. And the way that our subscriptions work, if you choose to move into a subscription, the refills are actually complimentary. So you're on your subscription. As you run out, the next one comes in. And we really want to make this as simple and as easy for consumers. And that's the same thing as if your skin has dramatically changed. So to your point about taking in the weather, maybe you've gone from San Francisco to Miami, and now the skin measures and what's happening with skin health is dramatically different after 30 days. If you're remeasuring and we see that, we're actually going to update your formula and ship you your new one at no cost, because this really is, again, helping you manage and helping you be in control of your skin on that journey that you have as an individual. And so we think that there's just a better way to do skincare, and that really involves, science and technology in very different ways.
Yeah, I think it's good to remeasure also to see what are the progresses, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yes, thank you so much. We don't have much time left, but yes, I'm so excited, and I'm super happy that you expanded away from San Francisco.
Thank you.
Because it was.
Yeah, we're really excited. It was a necessary part of our journey to build the
Yeah.
technology, but now we're really excited to be able to bring that to everyone via their mobile phone. We know we'll never be able to 100% replace what's possible, in that physical experience. But we know being able to get that to a mobile phone that I can now do in the privacy of my home or wherever I am, like, gives consumers just the freedom in ways that they haven't had before.
Thank you so much. Thank you very much for taking your
Thank
time
you.
from
It
now.
was wonderful to speak to you.
Yes, thank you.
Take care. Bye-bye.
Yes, bye-bye.